Hi friends, I am glad to be back with you. This is art lesson number 33. Can you believe that? After today, we only have one more lesson of drawing together while we're apart. And today I'm excited to share with you about a fascinating artist who changed the art world forever. His name was Pablo Picasso, and he was a Spanish artist, and he started drawing and painting and sculpting from a very young age. And he could draw and paint and sculpt perfectly realistic images. But he wanted to do something a little different. He noticed that when you looked at a thing, you could only capture that thing or that face or that landscape from one perspective. So if you look at my face right now, you can see the shape of my eyes and the shape of my nose and the shape of my mouth. And if I held really still, maybe you could paint or draw a picture of me. But watch what happens when I turn my face. Okay, let's just focus on the shape of my eyes right now. So my eyes are shaped like footballs or like lemons. And you could draw 2 footballs or 2 lemons, right? But what happens if I turn my face to the side? Is it in the shape of a lemon? Or is my eye in the shape of an ice cream cone lying down? And if I turn back, the shape of my eye changes, doesn't it? What about my nose? If we were to draw my nose right now, we would draw kind of a little U here and then some parentheses and then my nostrils. But if I turn my face to the side, it's a whole different shape, isn't it? It's like an upside down 7 and you only see one of my nostrils. So what Picasso wanted to do was capture all of those views at once, knowing that a person was way more complex than just what you see from the front. Let's take a look at some of his work together. Look at this portrait with me. It's not the usual shape of a portrait, is it? We see eyes in weird locations, a nose that's maybe on the side, and I see one ear, but I'm not sure if I can find the other. Look at this one of a crying woman. You see how her hands are incorporated into her face, and you can see her tears. It's almost hard to differentiate between her hands and her face. And then let's look at this portrait. Can you believe that this portrait sold for $50 million? I want you to notice the location of the eyes specifically in this painting. One faces forward, one faces sideways. There's almost like a nose on the side and a nose in the middle. And then let's look at this one at the end here. This last one really shows us what a cubist portrait looks like. We see an eye facing forward and an eye facing to the side. We see a nose in the middle of the face, but it's facing sideways, kind of. We see 2 ears, but they're different shapes. And we see a swirl for a cheek, some different shapes for the face. Can we even find the mouth? We have a lot of freedom in recreating some cubist portraits like Pablo Picasso. All right, are you ready to create your own Pablo Picasso portrait with me? We are going to have so much fun today. Our paintings are going to be crazy, but they're also going to be cubist. And what you need for today's piece is a piece of paper and a Sharpie, and then whatever you like to color with most. So if you like colored pencils, grab those. If you like crayons, if you like oil pastels, if you like markers, if you like all of the above, it doesn't matter. I just want you to pick something that you love to color with for this piece. So grab your materials and let's draw together. Okay, to create our portraits today, our cubist portraits, I'm going to have you do some things that might feel a little bit crazy. We're going to do them straight in Sharpie because I don't want you to worry about doing it perfectly. And if you make something that feels like a mistake, I want you to figure out how to incorporate that into something cool in your artwork today. We're going to start by drawing a really big oval on our paper. This oval does not have to be perfect. It doesn't even have to be straight up and down. You can even tip your paper a little bit and do your oval to the side. But I just want you to take your finger really quickly and make sure that you are doing a nice big oval. I don't want to see any little tiny lollipops in the middle of our paper. So I'm just going to take my Sharpie and I'm going to make a big oval just like that. Then I want you to start your Sharpie at this corner and we're going to draw a wiggly line down to this bottom corner. Up here doesn't have to be anything exciting, but a wiggly line down to the bottom corner. And then I want you to find a spot somewhere kind of in the middle of your page, and I want you to draw a wiggly line like that. What we've done is we have divided our face into 4 interesting shapes. And now it's time to start putting some of the facial features on. The way we're going to do this is by picking with our eyes closed. Now I can't see you, but I trust you. What I want you to do is close your eyes, take your finger, spin it around, and land it somewhere on your paper. Okay? Where it lands, I'm going to tell you what to draw there. Are you ready? I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Eyes closed, finger spinning, and when I say stop, put your finger down. And stop. All right, I did my eyes closed too. I ended up down here. You may have ended up off your paper, on your paper, it doesn't matter. But in this spot, we're going to draw an eye. We're going to draw a front-facing eye. And you can fill it up, you can make it big or small, it doesn't matter. To do this, we're going to start by drawing a big rainbow. And then we're going to draw an upside down rainbow. And then I think I'm going to put another rainbow above it for an eyelid. Notice I went into this section a little bit. Totally okay. Now we're going to do the iris part of the eye. That's the colorful part in the inside of the eye. And oftentimes it looks like a whole circle, but sometimes it's covered a little bit by that eyelid. And so I'm going to make half of my circle here and the other half over there. Now I'm going to do the pupil, the black part in the middle. My circle didn't turn out quite how I like it, so I'm going to go back and do that again. I like to leave 2 shiny circles in the middle to keep those white, and I'm going to color that in black because pupils are black no matter who you are. Now I think irises have such cool patterns on them, so I'm going to make some lines out on my iris here just for fun, so when I color it in later it has some texture. I'm also going to draw some eyelashes, and eyelashes start underneath the eyelid and flip out. You do not have to draw eyelashes if you want, but I thought it might be kind of fun. I'm going to draw some on the top lid. I'm going to draw some on the bottom lid. And then I'm going to draw that little funny weird triangle of pink where our eyeball kind of floats around inside of our head. I'm going to leave that place right there. So there's my forward-facing eyeball. Now we're going to do a side-facing eyeball. And remember that side-facing eyeballs kind of look like an ice cream cone, or even better, a snow cone on their side. Once you get your finger out, get it ready, close your eyes, and I'm going to say 3, 2, 1, stop when I want you to put your finger down. Ready? Eyes closed. 3, 2, 1, stop. Ooh, mine ended up outside of my face. That's going to be interesting. So I'm going to draw a snow cone, and you can do it either way. So you can do your snow cone facing this direction or facing this direction. If you're in some of the upper grades, you might have learned these not as snow cones, but as greater than or less than signs. Inequalities, right? But I like to think them as the base of a snow cone. Then the iris part actually becomes the top of the snow cone and makes a little half circle. So we're going to start, I'm going to make my sideways eye start on the edge where my finger landed, and it's going to come back into my face a little bit. So I'm going to draw my snow cone base, and then I'm going to do my snow cone top kind of inside of the cone. I'm going to go the other way for a curve that way. And my pupil is going to just be, we're just going to see the side of that. So maybe I'm going to add a little shine mark right there, color that in, and I'm going to add that interesting texture that we get in an iris. And I like the idea of always having an eyelid with my eyes, so I'm going to come up and down to draw that eyelid there. And I'm going to just come down like that to draw the bottom eyelid. And this one I think I'm going to give big, long, swoopy eyelashes. Again, you don't have to do eyelashes at all if you don't want to, but I think they're kind of fun. This is already looking pretty crazy, isn't it? All right, so we got 2 eyes. Now let's do a nose. I'm gonna get your finger ready, and we're gonna close our eyes closed. 3, 2, 1, stop. All right, my nose landed in this little spot down here. And instead of doing a straightforward nose, I think I'm gonna do a sideways nose. If I were to do a straightforward nose, we've talked about this before, I would do a letter U, 2 little rainbows, a forward C, and a backward C. You could do that. Sometimes in Picasso's paintings, he just does giant trapezoids for his nose. I'm going to do a sideways facing nose, which looks like an upside down 7 with a rainbow and a C. So I'm going to do that right here. And I want you to do your nose however you want. But I'm going to do, I think I'm going to have it facing this way. That kind of upside down 7. I'm going to do a bigger nostril here. I'm going to make my rainbow colored in. And then I'm going to do a big C right like that. Look at that Picasso portrait. All right, we've got eyes, we got nose. Now we need a mouth. Well, I only have one section left for my mouth, and I'm going to put it there. Now yours may have landed overlapping some of your sections. Maybe you want to do a spin around again. You could do that. But I'm not going to close my eyes on this one. I'm going to place my mouth over here. But I am going to turn my paper a little bit because I want my mouth to fill up a lot of that section. Now there's lots of different ways that you can do a mouth. The way that I'm going to do it is with the flat letter M technique, where I make a flat M and then another flat M for the top lip, and then a letter U for the bottom lip, and another letter U for the bottom lip. I'll do that again, and remember, you can always pause and play again. So a flat M for the top lip, another flat M for the top, a flat letter U for the bottom, and another flat letter U for that. And I'm going to put that in here. Now mine, I want to fill up this space a lot, so mine's going to be a little bit bigger and kind of funky. And I'm going to do that big letter U. Yours might be small because maybe you landed in a place that looks like that. Or yours might look big because it landed in a place like mine. All right, so now we've got eyes and a nose and a mouth, and we need to put some ears. And there's a couple different ways that you can do ears. You can do just a letter C, or that's a backwards lettered C, or a regular letter C with maybe a tiny little C in it. Or you can do kind of a wiggly 3, or that's a backwards wiggly 3 with another shape inside. Those are kind of fun Picasso shaped ears. I think I'm going to do one of each. And I'm going to put one up here of the wiggly C kind, And I'm going to put one down here, like that. Boy, does that look like me? All right, I'm going to add a neck and then my neck is going to kind of be leaning over to the side like that. And then I think I'm going to add just some shapes to give the idea of some hair. I'm going to add some triangles, maybe some wavy lines that go off my page a little bit. Remember, we don't need it to look perfect. We're just trying to make some cool ideas. And I think I'll do another wavy line over here. And there is my beautiful Picasso portrait. Now, I could totally leave it just like this, and it would be a really interesting black and white portrait. But I can add a few more details too if I want. I think I'm going to put an eyebrow here, just because I have kind of a blank space. And I'm going to color it in. You do not have to add eyebrows if you don't want. I think I'll put another little eyebrow right here. You might have some blank spaces where you want to add some pattern. Picasso sometimes had stripes or swirls. Maybe you want to add a little bit of pattern to your painting just to make a little bit more interest. Or maybe you're done with your Sharpie and you're ready for some color. I'm going to pause the video and get out I wonder what I want to color with today. I might do crayon and marker. I'm not quite sure yet, but I'm going to pause the video and come back, and I'm going to color on a pretty fast speed because we're all going to color ours very differently. There aren't any instructions, but you're welcome to watch me and listen along, or maybe you're ready to turn off the video and you could find some flamenco guitar, some Spanish music, and think about Spanish Pablo Picasso creating his portrait. I'm going to go ahead and color mine with crayon just because I love the speed and the ways that you can get different colors with crayons by layering them, by coloring light and dark. And you'll notice that I started already by not coloring with a typical color. I decided to make one of my eyes purple. And that's the fun thing about Cubism, is you don't have to make anything look realistic. So I love crayons because, look, you can do so many neat things with them. Layer and shade, and they're real fast. And I really like to be able to color quickly. So you grab your medium of choice, whether you like markers or colored pencils or crayons or oil pastels, and just start coloring. Sometimes what I'll do when I'm choosing the color of something is, if I choose one color for something, I'll find about 3 or 4 other places in my painting where I can use that same color instead of coming back to that color again and again. So right now you can see that I've chosen to color this whole section of my face orange. Sometimes when I outline the place that I want to color in, it's helpful for me to know where I'm going. So I just did this one little eyelid there, but I'm doing this whole section over here. And then maybe I'll do one ear over here. So I've got them in some different locations. And maybe this section of my neck. What that does when you choose to put a color in some different places of a painting is it makes your eye go on an adventure. So when I look at this painting, my eye might go from orange to orange to orange to orange, and it'll help me see the whole thing. I'm going to move on to my colors. Let's see, I think I'm going to make this eye green. Now, what else would I want to do green? Maybe this part of my face. Everybody loves a good green face every now and again. See how I'm kind of outlining where I'm going? That helps me to stay in my section. And I'm a bit of a fast colorer. Don't feel like you need to keep up. You just watch. I went out of the lines there a little bit. I don't care. I'm having fun. I'll color in a couple more sections while we chat, and then I'll go ahead and put it in fast mode so that you can just color yours at whatever pace you want, and feel free to check in on the progress of mine however you want to do that. But you'll notice as I go, I'm going to kind of keep doing that same thing where I put a color in several different places around my painting. I'm going to go back and do that with the purple that I didn't do before. And you might decide, so right there I just decided to go across that border. You might decide to stop your coloring where you hit a line, or maybe not. And you can color as much of the background of your painting as you want. You can leave places white. You can come back in with your Sharpie and add some more details, some more texture, some more pattern. This is your work of art. I'm gonna do this big section purple here. Always feel free to take a break if your hand gets tired. Notice when I'm coloring too, a lot of my lines go in the same direction as my marker. Sometimes that makes for a neat effect, and it makes your painting look a little more organized. All right, I'm going to put it in fast mode. You color yours and I'll color mine, and we'll come back together when we're finished. Here's my finished piece. It was so fun to add all of these crazy colors to these crazy shapes. And I don't know if you noticed, but as I was coloring, I decided to do some patterns instead of just coloring them in one specific color. Maybe you tried that too. Regardless, I hope you had so much fun creating a cubist portrait with me today. I know I had fun. And I always enjoy the fact that we get to draw together even when we're apart.